Welcome to the Scottish Basketball Podcast. We post weekly episodes on the senior game in Scotland. You can join for free on Patreon and Spotify to receive a notification when new episodes are released. Search for the Scottish Basketball Podcast. In today's episode of The History of Basketball in Scotland, I chat to Kieran Lynch. Kieran grew up in Dunfermline, playing for the Rain. He moved to the US to play high school basketball before returning to Scotland, representing the Saints and Rain across a 14-year playing career. During the 2018-19 season, Kieran is part of the Rain squad that upset the odds to win the Men's National League for the first time in club and Kingdom of Fife history. I'm delighted to be joined on the podcast by Kieran to talk about that season. Hi, Kieran.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Good, thank you. Back in 2017-18, the previous season, Rain had finished mid-table, comfortably ahead of the teams in places 6 to 10. I think you had a 12-6 record, but maybe a little behind the teams above you. What were your feelings and reflections about where the team was at the end of that 17-18 campaign? And did you have any sense something significantly different was going to happen in 2018-19?
It's good to reflect on that. We had a pretty solid season that year, but we just couldn't get over the crest of beating the kind of top echelon teams more than once, and that's a massive difference. So you would take a game from either St Mirren or Boroughmuir, but then you couldn't beat Falkirk or Kings, and they would beat you twice, and it really made a dampener on your record. And especially in National League, if you lose 1, 2, 3 games, you really start to struggle because the team who tends to win tends to lose less than 3 games. So that's kind of the target to try and stay at the top of the pile. Yeah, those boys have got competitive teams. I know that season you're talking Fury, Kings, Boroughmuir, St Mirren, and then ourselves kind of closely coming behind it. But yeah, we had some challenges that season. It was difficult. I think that was the first year Kev Pringle was our head coach. So he came in last minute because we didn't have a coach. We had lost Darryl going to the Glasgow Rocks at the time. And then, yeah, Kev stepped up to be our head coach. A learning curve for him. A lot of the younger boys had seen Kev in and around events and stuff like that within the club or Basketball Scotland, but had never really been coached by him. I've known him for a number of years, just because I'm one of the older guys in the team. But yeah, just him coming in, John Day as an assistant, and working with the boys, and we've done all right. There's just a couple of pieces missing, very small for the most part, fairly unathletic. And we weren't a very good defensive team. So that was one thing that was definitely missing between the 17-18 season and the 18-19 season. And that's kind of where we needed to improve.
Coming into 18-19, I don't think anybody was tipping Dunfermline for the title. Do you remember what your own expectations were within the dressing room? Maybe some goals or marks of success that the team had set out, and had anything changed for you personally in the run-up to that season that made you feel that this could be a good year?
The difference going into the season, we had a couple of players come back from university and working away. So Colin McDonald, who grew up in our youth system, had finished his time at Glasgow University and was coming into teaching and was teaching back home in his hometown in Kirkcaldy in Fife, just up the road. We had the other Taylor brothers, Dougie Taylor, coming back to his childhood club and playing with us as well. So Adam Dougie, Bruce was in there, his brother, and Colin automatically gives us 3 players who are over 6'3", 6'4". I'm sure Dougie will love being called 6'4", but it's questionable if he is. Made a massive difference to us. Just defensively, the 2 Taylor brothers can be a pest brilliantly defensively. Colin comes in and is automatically a force on the glass for us, which is brilliant. So yeah, we were automatically a bigger team, a more aggressive team. I thought we could compete. Did I think we could win the league? Probably not, but we just played. We played well together. We played fun. We played hard, and we just competed. Practice was always good fun. We went hard every week. I just had different people driving it, whether it was myself, whether it was Jake or Craig, Dougie, Bruce bringing intensity, Eric Potts. Like someone would always bring us up if we were slacking. So Yeah, it was a positive start to the season. It was a positive start to the practices that we had. And our goals were to finish top four. We wanted to make the playoffs. That was our simple goal, was to make the playoffs and make a run in the cup. So that was us.
You had some early results in September and October that set the tone, really. 5 wins from 5, including big early wins over Fury and Blaze at home at St. Columba's. What was going well for that team on offense, on defense specifically? And despite the early wins, what were you still working on as a team and looking to improve?
I suppose the early wins surprised us. We were confident we were a good team after a couple of wins. The Fury one at home was big. We did get beat off them in the cup, but we were able to bounce back, which was good. We just played as a team. Like, we knew where our strengths were. We would run early post entries for Eric. Eric Potts, our centre. We could get Jake Cyril going at any moment, and especially in our offense, because there wasn't at the time many guards that could keep up with his speed and his height. He's just one of those players that's very versatile, can shoot from outside, can get to the rim, was fairly athletic for small periods of his career. And yeah, and Craig just controlled the tempo of our games for the most part. I done my parts where I needed to control the ball and shot the ball fairly well. So it was, yeah, full team on effort. Everyone kind of done their piece. Everyone came in. Younger boys coming off the bench, playing tough defense, learning how to play in a bit of a system after they coming up from Division One, from under 18s, just playing at a different a different pace, different physicality. So yeah, it was a team effort. Definitely, I would say Jake and Craig carried us for a lot of it. Eric did as well. He was fantastic that season, and I'd done my part where I could. So yeah, it was a good couple of months. The fun one was the night before our Christmas night out, where we beat Falkirk away, which is an impossible place to go and play. Loved playing at Falkirk. Brilliant atmosphere, always packed in Grangemouth, or what was the Mariner Centre before. A brilliant atmosphere they have there. But winning that game was massive for us going into Christmas. They hadn't been beaten in the league apart from us, so it was a kind of do or die game for both of us. So it was massive. It was massive. So yeah, positive start to the season.
November and December brought some tough fixtures. No match, you beat the Blaze comfortably away from home. You beat the Kings, and as you mentioned there, Fury, your closest challengers for a second time. You went into that Christmas break with a perfect 10-0 record in the league. Had any of the team been involved in anything like this before? What were you thinking as a group about your chances at the title? Or had that thought not really crossed your minds?
We were surprised, I guess. Like, we didn't expect to be 10-0 at Christmas. We were playing well. Muir away, again, a really hard place to play. They play up tempo basketball. They pressure the life out of you defensively, and going to the Crags is really hard to play. So when we beat them and fairly comfortably, and we were surprised at how good we were looking. I guess a lot of nerves going into the Falkirk game after they just beat us at home in the cup. I think 2 weeks prior to it, but we turned up. We played. We had a good second half of that game. I always remember. So we had I don't know if you'll know him, a Laurits Juffer, Dutch fella, 6'8", monster. I had the pleasure of coaching with at the Scottish Unis, playing alongside the Scottish Unis. So he joined us late on in December, and I think that Falkirk game was his first game. He barely played because Eric Potts wouldn't let him on the court. We couldn't take Eric off. He was having a field day. And I remember Laurits going to me and Craig Ferguson at half time, like, how's he doing that? Like, he barely jumps. And Eric, don't mind this, he was unathletic at the time. He just had the best touch in the league for a big guy. He was phenomenal that game, absolutely phenomenal. And just Laurits asking, how does he keep doing this? Like, where does he score from? How do I get like that? Because Laurits wasn't a back to the basket kind of finisher. So Eric kept us in that game, and as I said, it was the night before our Christmas night out. So we had a good day celebrating being top of the league and being 10-0. So yeah, it was quite fun.
Into the new year, January and February, you were closing in on something special, pressure building, I suppose, with every passing game. The team also had their first loss of the season away at the Kings in game 14. Can you take us through what those final few weeks felt like, knowing you were on the verge of making history for the club?
I don't think I've been on Falkirk's Facebook page as much as I was for that probably 1-2 month stretch checking their scores. They were hot on their heels. There was no doubt about it. It could have went either way. I think they lost a game to either St Mirren or Kings at some point, which kind of gave us that extra leeway, an extra gap between us. But yeah, we were getting excited. We knew we had to play. We still had the top four teams to play, and as I said, everyone could beat everyone on their day. It's just one of those leagues. Everyone could have a player that goes off for 30 points, 35 points, whatever, and just has a day, and you can't really do much about it. So the only downside about that was losing to Kings. Kings turned us over at their place, absolutely leathered us. We didn't have a good game, and I feel like that week we had a bunch of catch-up games due to various circumstances. So I feel like it was late on. We maybe played 3 games in about 6 days. We had to beat Kings on, I believe that was a Friday. And if we beat them, we played St Mirren on the Sunday. And if we beat them, we would have won the league there and then. But we had another catch-up game, so we had to play Stirling on the Tuesday. So we went to play Edinburgh, and as I said, they killed us. They were brilliant. I can't remember Ali Mackay, brilliant game. I always remember Gareth Lodge saying that fair play, like don't worry, he'll take it, go and win the league, which I always thought was really nice because I like Gareth. I've always admired him as a player. He's the whiniest guy on the court, but he's a great guy on the basketball court to play with, and I've always respected his game and been jealous of the amount of titles that they guys have won. So coming from him, it was pretty nice to hear that he was kind of backing us for the league and kind of want us to win it. So that was quite good. The end of the season was coming. We were excited. We're disappointed that we got beat against Edinburgh, but yeah, we knew we were close. We knew we were very close.
Talk us through game day on that league-winning match. You're playing at home at St Columba's. Maybe talk us through what did you have on that day in the run-up to the match? How were the preparations, and how do you remember the game itself playing out?
I was like a kid at Christmas. I'm not gonna lie. I was working at Basketball Scotland at the time, and I remember just being like super excited. I was like the only way I could describe it is like when you were at school and you had a high school game and you got to leave early and you were all buzzing and excited because you were traveling with your school team to go to a game later on. You tend to lose that buzz when you're a full-time adult and you're working and you've got to travel to Paisley on a Friday night for an hour for an 8 o'clock tip-off. Like it's not the same. It's not the same buzz. Hence why I love playing Saturdays at St Columbus. Yeah, what a buzz. We were all coming into it. Obviously, me captaining the team, I knew it was going to be pretty spectacular. And we were confident we would beat Stirling, but who knows? Like, again, we were confident going into Edinburgh, and Stirling had played pretty well that season. I thought they moved the ball fairly well and pushed the ball. Their guard, Dan Chalk, was always a bit of a problem for us at times. But yeah, I was nervous, but so excited. Like, so excited. I think I was there an hour and a half before the game, cleaning the floor, like making sure it was all ready to go. Because that was just something I did for the boys. Like I was always going mop the floor and stuff like that. Or assistant coach John Day would come in and help me and mop the floor and make it all clean. And after the school kids had been in and absolutely dusted it up with their outside shoes. So yeah, I'm just excited, super excited.
You won that game, and it was one of 17 wins from 18 matches. You're presented with the trophy at home. It was everything the club could have dreamed of, really. For you personally, winning the senior title with your boyhood club and hometown team, when it finally sank in that you'd actually done it, what went through your mind, and how did you and the team celebrate bringing that First ever national championship back to Dunfermline.
It was unbelievable. I just realised I fully missed out Nicky Sim for most of this podcast, and he'll kill me. But I love Nicky Sim, a player that we had for a couple of years after he returned from America. I just remember seeing his face. I watched a video a couple of weeks ago and just watching his face celebrating in the changing rooms with maybe a cold beverage or two, which was fantastic. It was amazing. It was properly amazing. The excitement around the gym. It was a Tuesday night and the gym was packed. Like we don't pack gyms like we see in the States or whatever, but like for 150 people, it was inside St. Columbus that night. It was brilliant. We had ex-players, ex-coaches, all our families, some of my friends, like all my closest mates who are not basketball players or basketball fans, apart from maybe one or two, came down to watch it just to support us because it was a massive deal to the club, massive deal to me. So they knew how important it was. So that was pretty cool to see. That was probably some of my favourite parts of it was having my closest mates in there as well. It was some buzz. Grabbed the speaker, ran into the changing rooms, and I think Bruce Taylor had the Venga boys on before the last whistle or the horn had gone. So at least to say the celebrations lasted for a little while. I'm sure Craig Ferguson pulled out the swimming goggles as well, thinking he was an NBA athlete, which was even funnier. So yeah, that was a time. It was brilliant. I'll never forget those moments in the changing rooms afterwards on the Tuesday night. Yeah, we didn't get the trophy until the next weekend. We had organised, we were playing Edinburgh Lions in the playoffs, and the trophy was organised to be handed out after that game. Actually, one of the funny things, one of the coaches at Edinburgh Lions, I can't remember the guy's name, but I remember asking me, says, "Oh, do you mind if we stay and watch the trophy celebration?" I was like, "Of course not. Like, you don't have to if you don't want to." But he was like, "No, we'd like to kind of honour you. You've won the trophy, and we want to stay and cheer you on." And I was kind of taken aback by it. I was just like, I'd be kind of annoyed. Like, it's nothing to do with us. Like, fair enough, they've won the trophy, but the whole team stood there, applauded us all when we got our medals, and lifted the trophy. So that's also something I'll remember. And I can't remember who it was, their coach that asked that. It might be an Achilles, actually. Can't remember. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But yeah, having Jim Leishman present the trophy, Dunfermline legend, now Dunfermline football chairman, who my mum is known for years, been a friend at our family and stuff like that. And then with a lot of us being Dunfermline football fans, it was kind of one of those cool moments for him to present the trophy. So yeah, it was amazing. It was good to see Jimmy Steele, our club chairman, who's put so much work into the club over the number of years, incredible amount of work. Him with his hands on that trophy. He's lived and breathed this club for 40 years pretty much. So that was a cool moment to see. And there was a thousand cool moments I could continue on talking about for that day when we got the trophy. My only one downside, it was my dad's 60th birthday, and his friends had all invited him and my mum to go to Dublin for his 60th birthday. So unfortunately my mum and dad were not at the trophy presentation. So one thing I'll always be gutted, my mum and dad have been everything through basketball for me. Drove me here, there, everywhere, supported me so much over playing all sports, but particularly basketball. And they weren't there to see that one moment where I got to lift the trophy as captain. So yeah, that was the only downside. My papa was there. So I sent you the picture of my granddad. My papa was there. He was a regular fixture when he moved into our family home. So that was always good to have him there. And I haven't seen him smile in too long before then. So it was good to see him smile, but definitely missed my mum and dad on that day.
Every successful team has those one or two people who just make everything click. Might be on the court or somewhere in the background. Without wanting to single out too many, who were those individuals that made this title win feel most special for you to share with them? And what was it about those particular people that meant so much?
Definitely Jimmy Steele. Definitely Jimmy Steele. Again, I watched him as a kid coming through the club. He has been a fantastic role model to me, both on and off the court. And all the effort he puts into the club is second to none. He brought us the new gym, the new floor, the access to the school pretty much whenever we need it. If it wasn't for him, I might not have came back to the club. Yeah, massive, massive thank you to Jimmy. I'll always be grateful and thankful to him. Kev Pringle, fantastic coach that year and the year before, and a great friend. Put an absolute ton of effort and energy into us. Same with his assistant John Day. Like it's no word of a lie. John works his tail off, and I'm glad to see he's doing well and sitting on the bench with Johnny Bunyan at the Gladiators right now. He lives and breathes basketball, and it's something he's always been super passionate about. The effort he puts into the club, again, is up there. So massively thankful to them. I guess got to mention all the boys. Couldn't have done it obviously without them. Had the best year. It's always memories we'll always talk about. We always send each other pictures, Facebook memories when all pops up. Jake Ferguson, Jake Siddle, like all these boys that I've coached since they were 10, 11 years old, now getting married and have full-time jobs, and which still makes me feel old as hell. Seeing Eric Potts be successful with the club after being there for so many years, for some like 1 in 19 seasons and 2 in 17 seasons and stuff like that, is brilliant. So, and I'll never forget the picture of the two Taylor brothers with Jim Leishman. Brilliant. Yeah, my mate Stuart Harwood, one of my best mates, played for the club through his kind of years. Kind of took a bit of an assistant coaching role as he kind of faded out playing, and just winning that alongside him was brilliant. So yeah, it's just memories. It's all these memories. We'll laugh and joke about them, and yeah, there's clubs that have won bundle of other trophies and whatever, but that first time you're able to do something that you don't think was possible and win a league trophy just through hard work, grit, and effort, and kind of everyone doing their roles was fantastic. So yeah, massive shout out to the club, loads of other people involved, Barry Pringle, his wife Jo, all the other people I helped throughout the season. So yeah, a fantastic experience. Just gutted I missed the Scottish Cup win last year, but it's what happens when you leave. The team must get better, I guess.
Kieran, thanks very much for your time on this podcast.
You are very welcome. I appreciate the time. I love what you're doing, shining a light on some really good Scottish basketball stories and some really good Scottish basketball people. So it's people I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with and enjoy their friendship and competitiveness over the years. So no, I really appreciate what you're doing, Andrew. It's awesome.
For more episodes on the senior game in Scotland, join and subscribe to the Scottish Basketball Podcast for free on Patreon and Spotify to receive a notification when new episodes are released. Search for the Scottish Basketball Podcast. Thanks for listening.